Hey there, welcome back to the athomedive YouTube channel. Today we're super excited and we're in the kitchen making something fantastic. We're still gearing up for St. Patrick's Day, and to go along with our Guinness Stout cupcakes, which I'll put a link for in the top right corner now, we're also going to be making Colcannon, which is a creamy potato dish that has sauteed cabbage and bacon in it. So you really can't go wrong with that. So sit back, hit that subscribe button, and let's dive right in. So today on the counter we have a really simple list of ingredients, and we're going to start with 1 pound of bacon. As you can see here, I have cut this in thin strips, and this is sliced bacon, so we're going to end up with a bunch of small pieces. That way it renders out nice and even and easy. I've also got 8 ounces of unsalted butter, 1 1/4 cup of whole milk, 1 large head of cabbage, which weighs about 2.5 pounds, and I've got 3 pounds of large potatoes. And they are set up with a little bit of water in the bottom of the pot because I'm gonna steam these, and we're gonna render the bacon out, saute the cabbage, and then essentially mix everything together and add in the 6 chopped scallions. These are a little small, you only need about 5 really, but since these are small, I went ahead and threw an extra one in the mix. So let's get started. All right, so here we have the bacon spread out in a large pan, and I'm gonna go ahead and turn this on to medium-low heat and let the bacon start rendering the fat out. Meanwhile, I also have the potatoes still in the steamer, and I'm gonna go ahead and turn these on medium-low heat as well, just hot enough to get steam going, and I'm gonna go ahead and put a lid on there to capture the steam, because we don't need to let the liquid cook away, because we need to keep them steaming just until they're fork tender. And the bacon's gonna render out until the fat comes out of it and the bacon starts to get crispy. Meanwhile, let's move over and cut the cabbage. We're gonna cut the cabbage into small pieces. That way they're easy to cook down, and they go into the potatoes to where you get a little bit in every bite. Meanwhile, we're going to go ahead and cut the green onion in really small pieces as well. Back on the stove, as you can see, the bacon's getting hot. It's starting to steam and render out some of the fat, starting to collect around the edges. And the potatoes, the water has begun to boil, so we have a nice bit of steam in there as well, and those are going to begin to soften up. Like I said, these will take about 30 minutes. The bacon may not take quite that long, but don't be surprised if it does, because we don't want to rush it. We want to make sure it renders out all the way and gets nice and crispy. So we'll check back on these things in a little while. Alright, so just to check in on the bacon and potatoes here, the potatoes showed no signs of change, but the bacon, as you can see here, the fat is really starting to collect in the pan, which is a fantastic thing, because that means it's rendering out of the bacon, and as you can see, some of the bacon is starting to take just a little bit of color, which is a great sign that it's cooking. And we're not rushing it, we want it to cook nice and even. So I'm going to go ahead and just make sure I stir this around so that all the pieces on top can get better contact with the fat, and that's going to help it cook evenly. And just stir it and then let it sit and continue to render. So we'll check back on this in about another 10 minutes. It's been about another 10 minutes, and as you can see here, the bacon is nice and foamy, and that's a good sign that a lot of times the fat is mostly rendered out, and the bacon feels nice and crispy. I can hear it moving around in the pan. So I'm going to go ahead and scoop this out and remove it from the bacon fat itself. I'm going to do that with a slotted spoon and just scoop it over into a second bowl.
One eternity later.
We're going to go ahead and set the bacon aside. Now I'm going to take the cabbage that we cut a moment ago, and I'm going to add it to the fat. We're going to let this just cook down and start to take color. This will take a while because cabbage has a lot of water in it. Make sure you're using a large pan because the cabbage will cook down, but at first it takes up a lot of room. Alright, so I'll see you all in about 10 minutes. Alright, so we are back, and it's been about 10 minutes. And as you can see here, it's starting to cook down, and it's important that we keep it stirred. That way the cabbage cooks nice and evenly, and it doesn't brown too fast in any certain part. We want it to get cooked soft all the way through before it starts taking color. But now that this is cooked down quite a bit, if it starts taking a little bit of color, that's fine too. Also, this is a good sign that we can go ahead and turn the heat up just a touch. Meanwhile, you guessed it, the potatoes are still cooking. My potatoes are really large, so they may actually take just an extra second. But I'm going to test them to see if they're fork tender, because once they're fork tender, that's what you're looking for. Mine weigh about 1 pound a piece, so they're going to go ahead and need about another 10 minutes. But that's fine because the cabbage isn't ready either. So let's keep cooking. All right, friends, we're back. It's been 10 additional minutes yet again. And as you can see here, some of the cabbage is starting to brown, and that's a fantastic sign. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go ahead and take about 2 ounces of butter and put it right in the pan with the cabbage and let these things continue to brown together. Before long, I'll be turning the heat off as soon as the butter starts to brown in with the cabbage. And also, we need to check on the potatoes again. All right, the potatoes are fork tender now, so we're gonna go ahead and turn these off and remove them from the pot. All right, meanwhile, I'm gonna go ahead and take the remaining 6 ounces of butter and 1/4 cups of milk and put them on low heat just to get ready for the mashed potatoes. And the cabbage is done. So we're gonna go ahead and turn the heat off and let this rest just for a few minutes. The potatoes are gonna be cooling for just a moment until they're cool enough to handle, and then we're gonna peel these with a fork. So we'll be back in just a moment. Now I'm gonna go ahead and rough chop my potatoes and throw them into a large bowl to beat with a mixer. You can mash yours by hand if you choose, but I like the creamy fluffiness of a whipped potato. I'm gonna start by adding in about half of the milk and butter. Now I'm gonna beat this on low with a mixer until it starts to smooth up.
1 minute, 37 seconds later.
Now I'm gonna go ahead and add in the other half of the milk and butter.
Moments later.
This is a great time to go ahead and add in about 2/3 of your bacon. You can add it all in if you'd like, but I'm gonna save a little bit to stay on top. That way you get that beautiful appeal, and that way it's nice and crispy. I'm also gonna go and add in the browned cabbage in the butter. Now I'm just gonna take my spatula and fold these things in together.
A few moments later.
Now's a great time to go ahead and get a little bit of yours and taste it to see how much salt or pepper you wanna add. Personally, I'm gonna add in a tablespoon of salt and 1.5 teaspoons of ground black pepper. And now I'm gonna fold these things in with my spatula again. Your salt and pepper may vary based on the type of bacon you use and the type of butter you use. So feel free to start light because you can always add a little bit more. Now mine's about right. So this is completely finished. You might be thinking, hey Joey, you didn't use the green onions. Well, that's absolutely true. And the reason I didn't is because whenever I put my Colcannon on the plate with whatever I'm eating, I like to go ahead and add that mentioned little bit of extra bacon and a bit of green onions right to the top of it. And that adds that little bit of extra color that really makes it pop, as well as them staying vibrant and fresh. So I'm gonna put this on a plate with some sausages and some Guinness Stout Worcestershire gravy. All right, my friends. Well, that wraps us up on how to make Colcannon. Comment below and let me know how yours turns out. Thank you so much for watching. If you liked the video, be sure to subscribe. Have a great day.